My name is Amos. This is my lovely wife, Belle. My parents were divorced when I was young. I stayed with my father and grandmother after that. My father worked as a taxi driver and worked night shifts, so I hardly saw him. I was brought up by my grandma. Unfortunately, my grandma passed away when I was 11. After she passed away, I was pretty much by myself most of the time. My dad was busy, and when he came home, he would pass me some cash to settle my own meals. Without any parents' guidance, I started to mix with bad company. I joined a gang when I was 13. Eventually, I dropped out of school when I was 15. By the age of 19, I was heavily involved in gangs. We ran all sorts of vice activities to make money. Like what you may see in the movies, we would collect protection fees from the store's owners. I was one of the right-hand men behind the gang operation and constantly tried to find ways to make more money. I was so proud of myself because we could easily make 10K a month. When we do fight for our territories or businesses, we would use custom-made samurai swords to slash rival gang members. But this life did not last long. When I was 22, I was arrested by the police. I was in prison for 2.5 years. You would think that I would wake up my idea and change after that. No. After my release from the prison, I went back to the gang again. I focused on earning even more money for the gang and got involved in more vice activities. Soon, I was caught by the police again. This time, the jail sentence was 5 years. It was then a series of interesting and unexplainable incidents happened to me. The first incident happened in December 2011. One evening, a prison warrant officer opened my cell and asked me to attend a Christmas event in the auditorium. Usually at night, all cell doors must be locked after roll call, and all inmates have to be inside their cell. Yet, that officer released me out to attend the Christmas event, even though I did not join any Christmas program or chapel service in prison before. During the prayer at the start of the meeting, I kept looking around and realized that I was the odd one out because all the rest of the inmates were bowing their heads in prayer. When the singing started, I don't know what happened exactly. I don't even remember what song they sang or what the sharing was about. I could only feel God reaching past the layers and layers of darkness into my heart. And I felt the hand of God reaching out to me, telling me, "Son, it is time for you to come back." Instantly, I was brought back to the time I first went to church when I was 11 years old. My school form teacher has invited us to the church. Guess which church it was? It was City Harvest. It was then meeting at World Trade Center in 1990. Even though I was young and couldn't totally understand what Pastor Kong was saying, I knew I encountered God. The presence of God was a feeling like nothing I ever have experienced before. I even asked for a Bible from my form teacher as a birthday present. That Bible is with me till this day. After my encounter with God in that prison Christmas event, I borrowed a Bible from a fellow inmate and read it every night before I slept. One night, a verse I was reading struck me deeply. Matthew 6:24. No one could serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. I asked myself this: if I were to involve in a grand crash tomorrow, who should I take orders from? Will it be from my gang boss or Jesus? It was then I decided to make a clean break with the gang. I believe in burning the bridge so that there will be no return to my old life. Was I scared? I was. I wouldn't know what the gang members' reaction would be. I also have enemies outside. But the faith in my heart was greater than all this fear. I really believe that whatever happens, God will protect me. Before I was released from prison, I fasted and prayed for 2 weeks. I made 3 prayer requests to God. Number 1, God will give me back the 5 years I lost being in prison. Number 2, God will give me a wife who will accept me as who I am. Number 3, God will find me a church for me to settle in. And I told God, I didn't want to be in a church that only bless the Christians. I want to be in a church that will reach out and bless the people outside the 4 walls of the church. Amazingly, all my 3 prayers came to pass. Number 1, I'm 43 this year, and others will say that I look like someone in my 30s. God has restored back the years that the locusts have eaten up. I still look young.
No comment.
Number 2, I found Belle, who accepted me as who I am, despite knowing my past. We got married, and now we have a 4-year-old daughter, Caris, which also means grace.
Hi, I'm Belle. I came to know about Amos' past after we got close. At first, I struggled a bit because I was concerned that my parents would mind his history in the gangs and prison records. But I realized that he is really a genuine and sincere person, a changed man. I felt if God can forgive me and accept me for who I am, despite of my past, I can also accept Amos and his past. When I was younger, my parents were busy and didn't have time for me. They were also not expressive in their love for me. So I went around looking for love through relationships, hoping to find the ideal guy. I had one boyfriend after another, so I was also a sinner. There is really no big sin or small sin. Every sin is the same, and yet God forgives all of us when we come to Him. From the time we got together, Amos has been very supportive towards me and my family. 4 years ago, when I was pregnant with Caris, both of my parents were diagnosed with cancer months apart. Amos helped to take care of Caris while she was born so that I could take care of my parents. He was always around to support them and is a great source of strength to us. I'm so glad that my parents accepted and loved Amos.
Remember my 3rd prayer to God? After I was released, I looked around for a church to settle in. My friend invited me to City Harvest. The church was at Jurong West then. It was 1.5 hours away from where I stayed. I told him it was too far, so I told him I would only give him 1 chance. That Sunday afternoon, when I stepped into the basement 4 auditorium, I felt that such a tangible presence of God. As I responded to the altar call at the end of the service and walked to the front, I felt I was home. To me, City Harvest is a church that does not just bless the Christian community, but also bless others outside the 4 walls of the church. God has answered my prayer. God is gracious to me. After I was released from prison, I have nothing, no saving at all. But I was so hungry for God that I signed up for the Bible school. God moved Auntie Shirley to sponsor me fully for the 7-month SOT. I was also grateful to Pastor Gloria, who connected me to a cell group led by Johan. Today, I help Johan to connect with others, especially those who are going through a hard time. Despite my prison records, I managed to find work as a property agent. With God's blessings, I'm doing well even in this COVID-19 season. I also own a bespoke clothing company that I named after myself and a marketing agency named AM Creatives. God has totally changed me and abundantly blessed me with so much. He took me from the lowest pit and gave me a beautiful family and a spiritual home. Because of Jesus, everyone can have a 2nd, 3rd, or even a 4th chance. If God can help an ex-gangster and ex-prisoner like me, He can help anyone. Praise the Lord.